writing and I haven't been waiting for a response. I've actually been waiting for validation, you know? I've been waiting for somebody to say, you know, you've got great writing capability, what you've got to offer is brilliant, you matter, your story matters, your journey matters, these other women's stories who were within this book, their stories matter.
So what I started to do, I started to just like buy and sell domain names when the internet was like literally you had to plug it into your wall. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's so easy because you're chasing this dream and this vision that you have, and to feel as though you need to be working all hours of the day. And yes, there are some days where you need to push yourself that little bit harder, but you really need, if you haven't got your health and your well-being, you haven't got any business. So
journey. Okay, so one of the key things definitely is to get a network around you that you can trust. Very, very important, because and it's got to be, I call it a network of trusted advisors. And they must consist of one who does law, because they will tell you about your intellectual property and not to give away. When people say, speak at an event, oh, can I have your slides? No, you cannot have my slides. Intellectual property. So you need someone who can advise you on things like that. You definitely need an accountant. You know, we can't be doing our own bookkeeping because they know how to use all the tax stuff and all of that good stuff. And then outside of that, you just want someone who can feed into your life, mentors or, you know, support networks, people like that, and not people who are going to agree with what you're going to say. So when I talk about trusted advisors, people can advise you, not necessarily agree with you. So that's the one thing, is your network advisors. The second thing I would definitely say is you have to remain credible and visible, because out of sight is out of mind. When I see you, I remember you. When somebody then says to me, oh my God, Michelle, I need a coach that specializes in this, because you were just there at the forefront of my mind, I'm going to recommend you. If I don't see you, if I don't hear you, I'm not going to remember you. However much I love the work that you do, I'm just not going to remember. So you have to show up credibly. That means with great content and valuable content, but you have to show up and be credible and be visible. So that's the second one. And the third one is one that I mentioned before, which I still live by, is you have to ask for more. And asking for more doesn't mean asking for more money necessarily. It's just demand more. Get more respect for yourself. People, women, when they come into the market, they feel, I'm new to the market, I don't have all this credibility, I need to start low. You don't have to. And don't listen to those people who say that you have to. You know you, but you must understand it's not about how much they offer you, is how much you are willing to accept. That's the difference. People twist that and they think, oh my God, they offered me £150 for speaking, how dare they? No. They must think you're worth £150. So what messages and what signs and signals are you sending out why they think you're that? The difference is, how much are you willing to accept? So when they tell you 150, then don't do it for 150. I don't care whether you've got no more money coming in this week. Don't do it for 150. Once you do it for 150, you're known for 150. So it's not about what they're happy to offer you, is what you're willing to accept. So when you say no, actually my fees start from £500 for speaking, then they know they have to either pay or they find someone else, and be willing to walk away. You have to walk away, but you keep saying yes, you keep paying low, you're always going to be getting short change all the time. We have to stop trying to make pounds out of pennies. Just get the pounds.
Well, I think I've actually made reference to them throughout the interview. However, I think the first thing is your finance is absolutely important. Get your finance sorted, because I think that is one of the main reasons why so many businesses crash after a while. Because I could see myself, I could see that could have happened to me easily if I did not get support from family and friends and so on. Because today it's very different. I've not actually had any kind of funding. because most of the banks and all of that, they tend to turn you down. Being a black business, focusing on black products, you're just not going to get that kind of support that you need from mainstream banks and so on. So find a way to get your finances up to, finances together. That's very important. Secondly, do your research. Research. I can't overemphasize that. Find out what's already on the market. Find out the cost. Do all these kind of things. The best manufacturers, whatever it may be. Do your research. And finally, one of the things I must say is to have a mentor or read, find out about what other people are actually doing. Read as much as you possibly can, or watch these videos. There are so many videos, because I've been doing that a lot lately. In the initial stages, I just didn't get around to do it. But now, when I look back and I think I've watched some of these videos and seen and learned from other people, I realize some of the mistakes I've made, I would not have made them had I had, done that before. So finding yourself a mentor or reading and, learning from other people is absolutely key. So it will definitely be the three main things: finance, research, and of course, ensure that you have a mentor or, try and learn from other people as much as you possibly can.
So the first bit of advice I would give is just do it. And I know that might sound cliche, but you have to do something in order to learn. So what I would say is, even though you may be having doubts, you may be having negative thoughts about what you're doing, I'd say push through that, feel the fear and do it anyway. Push through that and put it out there, because that's the only way you're going to be able to learn what to tweak or what's not going well, what's going well. So just get your idea out there and get the feelers, would be one thing. Number two would be understand the different platforms that are good for you. Because not every platform is right for you. So you might be on Instagram, but is your clients, is the people you want to interact with on Instagram? So you need to know what platform. So I'd say play around with different platforms and understand what works well from you if your business is social media based. Because obviously you've got your offline activities that you do, but social media is really big right now. So you need to identify which platform is good for you and your target audience. And number three, I would say, so when we're in our comfort zone, things are easy for us, right? So you kind of, everything's just, that's the word. It's kind of easy because you're in your comfort zone. But stepping out of your comfort zone is where the magic actually happens. So if you're uncomfortable doing video, practice doing video more often. Just go live. Just do it. Just go live and get it out there, speak to your community or whatever. And then that's the way you'll be able to watch back what you're doing and tweak things again. You'll be able to watch back your videos, your lives, and say, I didn't like the way that looked, I didn't like the way I said that. And you'll be able to develop that way as well. So that's where confidence levels will come up. And I think those three things for me are the three advice that I gave myself in order to become confident in what I'm doing.
Yeah, let's just agree with single mums. Only you can stop you, and this is something my sister said to me years ago. She was a hypnotherapist. She doesn't do it anymore. It's a shame. She was so good at it. But it's clarity. It's just knowing how powerful your brain is. Mm-hmm. If you either make it happen or you wish it could happen, it's that simple. It doesn't just happen. People don't knock on your door and people don't send you an email and say, you've got to literally bang on doors, you've got to make it happen. You are absolutely 100% responsible. And so make it happen, take responsibility. And it's that thing of having a conversation with your child in the future is so powerful. And it is so powerful. If you're thinking, this is going to be hard and I don't know if I can do it, think, what's the alternative? What is the alternative? What are you going to say when you're sat with your child in 5 or 10 years? What are you going to tell them about why you did or why you didn't do what you do? And it's the same for women in other sort of toxic environments. Whether you're unhappy at work, you're unhappy in a relationship, there's always short-term pain to long-term gain. Whatever the fear is, you've got to overcome that if you want to look back in 5 years and say, do you know what, I'm happy, and I'm happy because of what I did. Mm-hmm. That's two, isn't it? Yeah. What's the third? or the third, single man's in business. Hello, don't talk to me. I'm totally rooting for women to do well, and there are things that out there that can help you that you might not know about, and just email or pick up the phone, ask a question.
Focus on financial stability in your business in real time, meaning don't go out of your realm. Take risk, but don't go out of your realm. Okay, financially, really, you can do a lot with a little, because it's not about what you have, it's what you're doing with what you have. Okay, so make real smart money moves with what you have. Don't always focus on making more. Focus on doing more with what you have. That's number one. Number two is stay connected. So stay connected, meaning that you're not always doing the same things with the same people. Staying connected means that you're constantly connecting with others, with difference, with diverse, with things that you're not connected with. Keep a good support connected group. And when I say support as well, remember there's all levels of support. Everybody doesn't have to be your best friend to be supporting you. And all women you should not expect all people to support you in the same way. Okay. And then thirdly, I would recommend for startups, don't forget yourself. Keep yourself in the top 3 of everything you do. All goals you have. If you just set your new goals for the year and you look at the top 3 things, and the top 3 things aren't not something you're doing for yourself, but to yourself, because everything on your list should be about you. But is everything on your list about something you're doing to yourself? Because you got to be doing things to yourself, not just for yourself as well. To yourself means eating right, working out, having physical activity, having social interaction, having balanced relationships, combing your hair, trying something different with your wardrobe, going out, having a love life, connecting with family. Those are things that you do for yourself. To yourself.
Yeah. So just going off the last point, I guess the first one would be the patience, being patient, going for it, definitely doing the work, doing what you need to do, but at the same time being patient and knowing that it's going to take time to build what you want to build, would be the first piece of advice. The second would be to be open to learning. So like I said, I had to learn, and I'm sure you've been the same, having to learn so many other things that you never thought you were going to learn. For example, you just want to make dresses, and then you realize you need to learn how to take pictures of the dresses. You need to learn how to put them on sale online, for example, and all of that kind of stuff. Be open to learning. There's so much that you need to learn as an entrepreneur that goes beyond the product and the service that you are selling. So yeah, be open and willing to learning. You will definitely be stretched, but it's good for you. And also the third one would be about networking and collaborating. I have had the opportunity to meet so many people, even in just a short space of time. And things have grown from there. One thing leads to another. One person connects you with another person. And it helps the business. It helps everything to grow and to expand. So again, being open to networking. I used to hear the word networking and literally roll my eyes and just be thinking, what is that? But you don't need to think of it in the typical sense of networking. But just getting to know people. Don't be shy about saying what you do. Don't be shy about selling yourself. If you don't sell yourself, who else will? Everybody else is trying to sell themselves. So don't be shy about that. You can't afford to open up a shop and not have a sign outside your window. That doesn't make sense. If you open up a shop, you would put a sign outside and you want people to know that you're here. So networking is kind of like doing that, whereby you're meeting new people. And it's not about, I just want to push what I have down your throat, but actually meeting people that can actually help you as well. It's a collaboration. It's a bit of give and take, seeing how you can be of service to other people genuinely, and obviously how they can be of service to you without using people, of course. So yeah, I think those are the 3 things. Be patient, be willing to learn, and go out there and network, meet new people, and yeah, all of that will help.
I would say, first of all, is be clear on what you're going to offer, who are you going to offer it to, and what are the benefits that we'll get out of it. And as we spoke before, when you're thinking about who you're going to target, make sure that you're clear in it. First of all, it's who do you want to work with, because I think the best thing about your own business, you can choose your clients, and that's a luxury. So decide who you want to work with and who can really benefit from your business and who can pay for your business. So I think that's one piece of advice. Second one will be like, I think what one of my problems was at the beginning was I was aiming for perfectionist, and that basically meant that I wasn't started anything because I was always like, I need to redo this, and sometimes that turns into self-doubt. So I think it's really like, it's never going to be perfect, so just go for it. And it's always like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Is it going to be so bad that you cannot go back? So that's the second piece of advice. And then I think that, as we discussed before, like whenever you can, try to outsource, because there is no point in wasting hours trying to figure out how to create your own website that is never going to look like a professional website. So either you give it to somebody else who can do it, and you can invest those hours working with your clients and making more money, or you can just wait and focus on whatever is priority. So I think that's really important.
So I would say my first piece of advice is, really do an assessment, really plan and look at, are you ready? Don't just think about whether you love this, because sometimes we do things out of the passion of, oh my God, I love this idea. Look at the idea. Does it have a place in the wider world and community? And will you have customers? So do the boring bit. The first piece of advice, do the boring work first. You can have passion. I don't have a problem with you having passion. But when the passion subsides, it's going to get tough. Will you be able to sustain your business afterwards? Yeah. Secondly, look at your finances. Be financially literate. So it kind of links back to the planning. Look at your finances, look at your pricing, undertake the work you need to undertake in terms of financial planning. And finally, the third one is, as I've been mentioning through the course of the conversation, work on your confidence. Now, you don't necessarily have to be the brand ambassador for your business. Some businesses, you can have brand ambassadors, or you can be behind the scenes. It does help if you can be the brand ambassador. But I still believe, even if you're not front and center of your business, do the work to build your confidence. Because when times get tough, when you're in negotiations or undertaking negotiation, when you're meeting, pitching, whatever it is, whether it's a service or product-based business, your confidence in your purpose, your sense of belief will drive you forward to keep working. And because there's going to be some really dark and tough days, and to be honest, you need that confidence.
Okay, so the first piece of advice would be obviously to get started, but getting started could be do some market research. You have an idea, write down that idea. I remember VIP, I was on the train and I was writing down like the kind of idea and drawing a vision of like, how I want the website to look like. That was when I just remember that, like all in my notes on my phone, just putting it down and then asking people about it. So a lot of people feel too afraid to ask people about their idea because they think people will steal it. Like I've come across people like that. I'm like, well, it's more than just an idea. There's millions of people who probably have that same idea. It's about execution. So, go and ask people, what do they think? Get some market research. See if you're onto something. See if these same people will use your product or your service. And just build that, get that confidence that actually, okay, cool, this is the grand vision of the idea. I've got some market research. I see that it's needed. I've checked online to see others that might be doing it. I've reached out to people who are similar to see if maybe there's a way we can collaborate, or to see actually if you can do it better. Like, do that groundwork first. It might take you a month, it might take you 3 months, 6 months, but at least be doing it and knowing that you are going to launch something. And with that, make sure you kind of map out what your first thing will be. So it might be like building a website. There's Wix, there's Squarespace, there's so many tools now that make it so easy for you to just make a website. There's even a website called Fiverr.com where you can kind of reach out and get somebody else to do it for a cheap price. Like, just build something quick that kind of gets the vision out there. And then just go about it, like using marketing tools or just understanding what you can kind of do to start growing it. So that's that kind of first bit about kind of getting started. The second advice I always give is to join a network. And I'm not just saying VIP network, I'm saying like I did New Entrepreneurs Foundation, you know, which was a community of aspiring entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs wanting to build something. And they gave us workshops and connected us to, you know, other bigger entrepreneurs or investors. So join those kind of networks where you're going to get external advice and help, get a mentor, get a coach. Like, don't think you have to do it alone. And when I say alone, I mean like you by yourself in your room constantly, just you figuring it out. Like, reach out, get that help, ask questions, be a sponge, see who's done something you've done before, maybe in a different field. So like, let's say VIP network is for Black young professionals, but maybe there's a women professionals network. I can research to see what they've kind of done. I could take similar stuff because you're doing something similar, but just for a different niche. So like, really like be ready to learn and grab and to know what your ambition is. And then I'd say my third advice is kind of, well, it all stems in like, you know, enjoy the journey and be ambitious. Like, yeah, do both. Like, aim high, know you can achieve it. Don't let these statistics bog you down, you know, like 0.002% of Black women raise money and all these kind of stats that we see all the time. Because you don't have to be a statistic. You can break that mold, right? It can be you. Why not you? And really live by that view. Like, yeah, I know what I'm building. I'm going to go about it. You can pivot. Don't be afraid to change the idea and to understand what doesn't work to get that product market fit. And just be ambitious with it and enjoy the fact that you're on this roller coaster that is literally highs and lows every single day, every single week, every single month. So, yeah.
Start now, get perfect later. Procrastination is like I used to be the queen of procrastination. Honestly, like I remember one time it got so bad I had to do something that I just didn't want to do, and I remember cleaning my bathroom floor with a sponge. Because,
as you do.
Like, who does that? But again, the queen of it. Mm-hmm. So don't be like me. Start now, get perfect later. The second one is, and it's so important, give yourself time to learn something new. So many people are like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Oh, I don't understand Instagram. I don't know what to do on LinkedIn. Give yourself 2 hours, sit on YouTube, watch a video, let someone break it down for you, make some notes, try it out. Give yourself time to learn the areas of, you know, your business or whatever it is that you don't understand. Read a book. Like, so many people just come and say, well, I don't know that, I don't understand that. And it's just like, well, have you tried to help yourself in any way, shape or form? Like, I can support you, but I can't do it for you. You know, so definitely give yourself time to learn. 2 hours on an area that you're struggling with before you ask for help. I always, you know, do say that. And the second one is really just to remember that the only thing between you and success is what you don't do and who you don't know. Mm-hmm. And this is something that I'm known for saying. I know I always remind people of it at our events because, you know, the power of your network is just, I can't explain it enough. You know, we really need to, you know, be speaking to people, finding out what they're doing, even if they can't serve us or we can't buy from them. Like, we may have someone else that can do that. We can recommend and refer. Like, we really need to start building these ecosystems of our own. So, you know, connecting, finding out who it is you don't know that you can get the information from, whether it be for yourself or for someone else. And also taking information, like doing things with the information that you're given. Mm-hmm. I'll sit down and I'll do consultations with people and you give them all this time and energy. And as you can see, I'm quite like, so by the time I finish with you, like, I am like, I've given everything to you. Do you know what I mean? And people won't do anything with it. And you're like, oh, I just spent 2 hours of my life, you know, with you. And so,
I hate that, by the way. It really winds me up.
Honestly, like, so when people give you time, when people give you information, you know, knowledge, support, take it, implement it, use it. Mm-hmm. And that's really how you're just going to start to see that momentum, that progress, you know, and you're moving forward. So yeah, they're my 3 tips.
I've written some things down because I have an awful memory at the moment. So my 3 things are, do things that really scare you. So think about the things that you feel you're most fearful about and lean into that, because I've found in business that when I kind of lean into the fears, I've had the quickest development and growth, either in myself or in the business. And I think that's the case for many entrepreneurs. Like, often our fears are telling us the opportunities that we have, and they're showing us where the doors can open and where we can go for our next challenge, our next opportunity. So yeah, feel into the fears. Second thing is to show up, be vulnerable, and share your story. So one of the things that I talk a lot about in Share Impact with my community is sharing more of their story, their why they got involved, but also the story of their business, and kind of letting people in behind the scenes. Because I think sales happen now between people, and people need to trust you, not just as a brand, but as an individual, especially if you're still a solopreneur or a very small business. And so I think the more you can show up, share your story, talk from a truthful place, and just kind of share the story and the journey that you're going on as an entrepreneur, people really buy into that. And I've certainly seen that. I've had clients who started with me at the very first part of my business who, you know, have taken 2 years to actually pay me in terms of work with me as a client, but they've been on the journey with me. They know everything about my journey and my story to get here and stuff. And I think that happens progressively throughout your business. And the final thing is a piece of advice, but also a request, that for every entrepreneur, you take the climate crisis seriously, and you look seriously at what you're doing as a business owner to help contribute to tackle the climate crisis, or to tackle the inequality that exists globally. Because these are the two biggest things, and the reality is that we don't have long left, and we have to take responsibility as business owners to see how we can contribute to those solutions. And there's lots we can be doing, even in the smallest sense. Even if you're just working from home in your office, there is lots of things you can do that don't cost any money, that will actually save you money as well. So that would kind of be my advice and request.
I'd say definitely know your why, and if you don't know your why, find it. That's a whole nother workshop. But yeah, know your why, know your purpose, and why you're doing what you do. Because when things get tough, if you don't have that solid, you'll fall off, or you'll get overwhelmed or get frustrated. As we've discussed, systemize and process your business from day one. And then recruiting the right team. I've made many mistakes along the way. I wouldn't say many, but a few mistakes. Yeah, so a lot of people think you recruit from skills and looking at what's on the CV, but for me, it's all about attitude. So talent and attitude, and that's what I've found. If you recruit on those two things, you can mold, you can shape people into the role, and the heart's in it. So it's all about them having the passion. So talent, attitude, and passion over any form of skill, degree, whatever it is. Because if you haven't got the right people on board, it makes life difficult for you.
Well, first of all of us could start a business of any kind. There are many shiny objects going around telling you to start an online course, telling you to, do drop shipping, telling you to sell products and services online. I'm going to say in a few points off the top of my head. First thing you want to do is research the market. Don't assume whatever it is you're going to sell or promote is even going to be needed, right? Because you have to establish if there's a need in the market before you start selling. So do your research first. Secondly, think about whether you are going to be able to position yourself in this climate to make sales on that product. Because it might work for you near Christmas to sell the product you've got in mind. And maybe, your idea that you've got might work in the summer, right? But right now, we're in the midst of a global pandemic. So I think we've got to tread carefully. I keep talking about this shiny object syndrome and people needing to hashtag scratch below the surface. So I'm going to encourage anyone that's thinking of starting a business, totally go for it. Now is a good time. You're at home. You consume lots of information, I'm sure. But also, first of all, don't apply without thinking through what you're doing. So think through what you're doing, research what you're doing, make sure there's a need in the market now or whenever it is you decide to go forward with the idea. And don't start asking friends and family for feedback on logos and things like that. Actually do proper research. Ask your potential customers or people that might match your client profile. and then look at other things in your business, like what systems you might need in place. I'm not sure if Companies House are still open if they're based in the UK, but get the necessary, their hotline is closed, but they are still taking emails. Get the necessary feedback that you need, and go to a business support service if necessary, but make sure that you line yourself up in order. So set a project plan, be clear on what you're going to be doing in stages, and just don't forget your branding and marketing, because actually even after you've got your business idea, no matter how nice your product or service is, you are going to need a way to make sales if that's your plan. And if it's to make sales, set yourself a sales target, even if you veer off a little bit. And when you set your sales target, think about what you need to do to promote your business to achieve that sales goal. Yeah. Hopefully that helps. I mean, a lot of us will start businesses because, you know, our mum tells us to, or our partner tells us to. And someone the other day was telling me they're going to start a business in catering. And I said, well, that's way off of what you normally do. And I can tell from the fact that she'd messaged me to say, I'm thinking of, or everybody's telling me to start this business in catering. I said, listen, I'm telling you now off the record, you don't want to do that business. And I know you don't want to do it because you just messaged me saying, everybody says I should do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If everybody's telling you to do something and your heart's not in it and you haven't done it yet, you definitely don't want to start that business. Where your passion lies, right? Where you really enjoy, where you've got a skill set, maybe where you've got some key strengths, maybe something that everybody's asking you about. That's what you should think about starting your business idea from. But make sure you establish that there's an actual need first so that you don't waste time and money.
Yeah, that's great.
I would say to begin with, definitely find your tribe in terms of mentors, coaches, advisors, and accountability partners, because having someone or people that will hold you accountable to that particular task or that particular project is really detrimental to you moving forward. Because if you don't have deadlines towards things, or if you don't put your deadlines out there or the project out there, you might not ever end up doing them. Or when imposter syndrome does come knocking on your door, you'll give in a lot easier because you didn't have anyone that's asking you how you're getting on with that. Have you contacted that person? You know, how close are you to meeting your deadline? So I think that would be my first point of call. And my second piece of advice would be ask for help. And I don't know if it's a cultural thing in terms of Black people, but I think we really struggle to ask for help. And I will ask for help. And sometimes, you know, they say that pride comes before the fall. Mm-hmm. And sometimes asking for help can be really hurtful on our pride, but you'll be surprised the amount of people that actually say yes to helping. And sometimes a case of, I don't know what to do, but if they're willing to learn something, then, you know, it's really helpful. Because when you're starting a business, you can sometimes feel like you're so alone. And one thing I would always say is that I haven't done this on my own. Yes, I'm the face of the business, and yes, I'm building it, I'm leading it, but I have a lot of people. I have a lot of family and friends that support me, some paid, some not paid, and they're just really there for me a lot. And if it wasn't for being able to lean on those people, some of it's advice, some of it's actually physical resource, then I don't think I would be where I am. But I definitely learned quite early on the value of asking for actual help. And for me, that came in the form of even getting interns quite early on, even before I'd launched, which was quite useful, not in just in terms of getting help in terms of physical resource, but also me developing my own leadership skills as well. And then the last piece of advice, I was going to say get a PA, because my PA is fantastic. Shout out to Denise. But it kind of comes under the same category of getting help. But learning systems and processes, I think early on, as soon as you can, learn how, not even learn, but document how you do things. Because I'm a sort of person, I know how to do things, but then I get overwhelmed and it's kind of like, okay, I need help. But you have to help the help by documenting those, how you do things. Otherwise, it's just something that you do and no one can ever come into the business and actually support you to offload certain some of those tasks and projects. So documenting as you're going along how you actually do those things, and also why you do those things, because anyone that comes into the business to help me, whether it's one afternoon or for a few months, I like to explain to them why I do what I do, so then it makes more sense, because sometimes it will just seem like you're just offloading the jobs that you don't want to do to somebody else because you're lazy, when it's actually not the case. And explaining the bigger picture helps that person to understand, oh, that makes sense, and then it becomes something that's ingrained in them as well.
I would say it's important to be clear about what it is that you're trying to achieve and who it is that you're trying to help, just to have like clarity around that, because there's like a lot of distractions and there's like a lot of noise that can distract you from the things that you want to do. So it's important that you're clear about that. And I would also say just having like a business coach or a business mentor. So Paula, who's the founder of Clever Girl Finance, has been like a really good support mechanism and just someone that I can go to and ask questions. So having someone that you can go and ask questions about your business, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the same field as you, but having another entrepreneur who is ahead of you in the game that you can just ask questions and they can share your experience. And I would also say just being a part of some sort of an accountability group. So when I started Boss of My Money, I formed a group called The Bag, which is called a Business Accountability Group. And it's basically with 3 women, and we meet bi-weekly and we set, bi-weekly OKR, goals. And every 2 weeks you have to come basically saying, I've achieved all my goals. And if you didn't, you had to give the reason why, and you get drilled by the other members, and you'd also have to pay a £10 fine. And that really helped me, and that's, I would say like the progress that I've made with Boss of My Money has been because of that, just having that accountability and someone to ask you questions and, to challenge, your ideas and your suggestions. And the group has also helped me to test some of my materials out and to test my content before putting it out there.
I could say self-love, and it's not only in the terms of self-caring, is like I've mentioned many times, all the doubts, or I'm not good enough, I'm never going to be able to. Watch out for those thoughts and transform them, because you can do anything that you put your mind and heart into. And that leads me to the next one, which is heart. Live from your heart, be heart-centered. We are women, and women have the tendency to live from the heart. We have this nurturing, which is innate to us. It doesn't matter if we are mothers or not. And in business, I actually have experienced this. I said before that I haven't experienced anything, but I have experienced as a woman not being able to express like you want to express, or treat people with kindness, with compassion, like you want to as a woman. And business need that, and corporate need that. They need the feminine touch. They love the compassion. They treat people as people, and people being more important than the business and the number. So live in the heart, and peace of mind. I have to live with that. Just be present, be at peace, and lead from peace in a conscious way.
Okay, the first thing I would say, anything is possible. Like, don't limit your mind in any way, shape or form. Literally anything in this day and age is possible, even in lockdown. And with the second piece of advice is to do it. Don't stop talking about it, do it. And then my third piece of advice is I used to say it a lot more to the children, realized adults benefit from it as well. And a few years ago, I actually said it back to myself as well. So I would say, set your goal, double it. What does that look like? Then triple it. Realistically, triple it. triple the doubled, not your first one, triple the doubled, then aim for that. And if you make it halfway there, it's more than you ever dreamed of.
So the first thing that I would say is don't be seduced by all the people online, because again, entrepreneurship is trending, but don't be seduced by the people online saying, leave your job tomorrow and just start your business. I think there's definitely scope for keep your job so you can keep that steady income while you set up the business, and that is rough. Like, I make no mistake about it, it's not like it's an easy thing to do, but as much as you can test and refine and learn while you still have regular employment, unless you've, for some women, people are at different stages, unless you've amassed enough savings to feel like, I'm okay, I'm good for a year, I'm good for 6 months, whatever. I really think it's beneficial. It takes the pressure off you. It takes the pressure off you trying to make the business a success from day one. And that just means that you have lower stress. So that would be my first piece of advice. Just try and run it as a side hustle until you have proof that there is definitely something there. Mm-hmm. The second thing I would say is know your numbers. So, and that could be, everybody, different businesses have different metrics. So for me, obviously, I'm always looking at, acquisition cost, thinking about payback. So for anything that I invest in that requires that, me doing capital investment into the business, whether I'm kind of investing in a new CRM system or, thinking, okay, I want some new content produced, so therefore I need to get these number of people, these freelancers, how long will it take me to basically pay that back through the business? How many new customers do I need to acquire to, break even? Mm-hmm. I think it's really important that people know their way around their numbers so that they're not kind of shooting in the dark all the time, and they're able to plan effectively and particularly manage their cash flow. Mm-hmm. And then the third piece of advice I would give is build a supportive tribe. And that might mean that tribe might look different than it does from your day-to-day group of friends, because I think when you start to develop your own business, there are lots of people that won't necessarily get it, particularly if you're someone that might be leaving behind what other people see as a really fruitful and glittering career, but that that's not the right path for you. Entrepreneurship is the right path for you, and it's something that you've harbored for a really long time. Then you might have people say to you, I really don't think you should do that. I think it's a mistake. And if you have all of those detractors and all of that negativity in your mind, it can really, it's a hard enough challenge kind of motivating yourself to say, no, I'm going to take this leap. If you've got other people in your ear telling you all the reasons why you shouldn't do it, then you never will. So you want to surround yourself with people that are going to cheer you on and kind of motivate and encourage you. Obviously, they'll be able to help critique the business as well and what you're doing, but in a constructive and positive way. Mm-hmm. So they're the things that have really helped me.
So I'm a big believer in planning and setting goals, really clear, concrete goals. Not just I want to set my own business, but what do you want to do? How much money do you want to make? When are you going to do it by? And I think that I'm a big believer in, I never remember this phrase, but I believe in it so much. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Got it right. And that was a massive thing for me, because if I didn't have in my head very clearly what I was going to do and when I was going to do it by, then I would have probably not managed to do it. Mm-hmm. So if you say you want to set up a business, plan for it. Read everything that you can, find your communities, network. So that would be my second piece of advice. Tell people what you're doing. So once you've planned it and you've set all your goals, tell people, because people aren't going to buy into your service if they don't know what you're doing. And they want to know, and people want you to win. Most people want you to win. Most people want you to succeed. So you tell them, look, I've decided that I'm going to start this business as a florist, and I've been training as a florist, and here are some of my things, and I guarantee they'll support you. I think it's rare that people don't support the ones that they love. So tell people what you're doing, tell everyone, shout about it and be proud of it. And I guess as a final piece of advice, yeah, it's going to be really, really hard. It's going to be late nights. It's going to be early mornings. It's going to be weekends. And as long as you prepare for yourself and you're willing to keep putting in that work, then it will come to fruition. It's not going to be tomorrow. It might take months. It might take a year. But just keep going, keep believing in yourself, believe in your idea. If you truly believe in your idea, then other people will believe in it too.